Those like almonds. Not good.
Are we recording?
Yes.
DestinyComics.com proudly presents the following podcast.
Starting from the left to the right, let's introduce ourselves like we did last time.
Hey, I'm Eileen.
I'm Danielle.
Michael.
Brandon.
Bonnie.
That was nice, you guys.
Yeah.
We sounded like we liked each other.
Cared so much.
That's for the end, right?
We just cared so much.
You guys are my best friends ever.
Oh my god.
Don't tell Chrissy.
You need the energy.
I just drank this whole thing.
Oh, okay.
Well, like half of it because you took it. You also
That was
drank
the
all my
water.
water.
She's the one that offered it up.
So are we going to draw questions from my hat, or is one just going to ask a random question?
Well,
last time I came preloaded with the Joker query.
There's actually been some rumors running around. I actually read this the other day that the young boy in Iron Man 3.
Oh yeah.
That he's probably going to be revealed to have origins for Guardians of the Galaxy.
The kid's supposed to be Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Danielle? Did you see Iron Man 3?
I did.
Okay.
Oh yes, I did as well.
Yeah. Woo! Everyone's seen it.
Oh, good. I was about to go really bad.
The kid, I don't know if it's an unofficial rumor, and I don't know how I feel about them making him Star-Lord, especially because Star-Lord, Guardians of the Galaxy is so weird because there's time travel, there's all this kind of stuff,
Oh yeah.
which is why I love it. But it's like he's a full-grown man as Star-Lord, so what would be the gain of making him the kid?
Yeah, that's
in
my
Iron
question.
Man 3.
Now, is that a fan theory, or is that something that's been floating around?
Well, they haven't said if it's a fan theory or not. All they've said is that it's an unofficial theory.
It's flown around on a lot of blog sites.
Yeah,
Oh.
because they said that
this stuff, though.
because they said that the Guardians of the Galaxy was greenlit.
Mm-hmm. Well, they already cast it.
Yeah, they said it was greenlit and it's cast now. So that's one reason why there's so much, because the Iron Man movies have usually been reveals for a lot of stuff, because in the first Iron Man, that's when they announced that they would be doing an Avengers movie.
Mm-hmm.
in the cutscene.
In the cutscene at the end.
Yeah.
One does not simply walk out of a Marvel movie before the credits.
I know, it makes you second guess other films too.
I can't tell you the last time I walked out of a movie before the credits.
Oh, I know.
Oh, only
Anymore.
people in my group had already watched it and said there's nothing at the end of the credits. Otherwise, I stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, of course, now that everyone has smartphones, you can just check online and see if there's anything in it before, while the credits
The
are
Iron
rolling.
Man 3 after credit scene was hilarious.
That was
Oh my
really
gosh, I
funny.
was laughing so
Oh
hard.
my gosh.
And we'd missed the first about minute
Yeah.
of the movie when we walked in. So I thought that we already knew who he was talking to. So in the credits, I'm telling Maylene, okay, so who was he talking to? Was that just he's talking
Because
to the
I had
audience or
seen
what?
it
And
once.
she's like,
I'd seen it once before she saw it.
so she'd seen it already, and so I'm
Yeah, 'cause-
asking her, and she's like, well, and then her mom starts making fun of or pointing out interesting names in the credits, right? So then we go into that, and then there's the scene at the end. I was laughing so hard, I was like, oh my gosh, that was so funny, and I totally just answered the question
Where
that's
were
been in
we
the back of my mind this whole time.
Where
What
did
was the
you-
last thing that you heard?
The elevator. You heard nothing?
an elevator and
I'm a doctor, but I'm not that kind of doctor.
You guys
I
are
don't have a
doctor.
temperament for this.
That's what made me laugh. The temperament laugh.
I
That's
know.
what made me
Oh
laugh.
my gosh. And then he goes on another ramble,
And he
I
just...
liked-
and it's just like,
I
oh my
liked at the
gosh.
beginning, whenever they actually showed Jensen there talking to him, the scientist that he was in the cave with in the first movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
Because he
was.
says in the first movie,
That's what I missed.
because he says in the first movie, the guy's like, we actually met once before at a symposium
in Prague.
in Prague.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm amazed if I was that drunk. I don't think I could have ever given a speech. and then in the third movie, you see him. He's like, well, this is Ho Jensen. And he goes, oh, I actually know somebody named Ho.
And then like later on, like they in Iron Man 3, they have a throwback to that line, like where he says, "I saw your symposium today," or whatever. It's like, I gave a speech. Like, there was a little throwback to that line from number one. Like, I gave a speech.
Yeah.
I think my favorite line, though, in the third one, those two of them, but one of my favorite lines is the one where he's like, "You know what's going on through my head? Where's my sandwich?"
My favorite line was as the kid's still like, "I'm cold and you're trying to manipulate me. You know how I know? Because we're connected."
He goes, "I'm cold." He goes, "You mean you're trying to manipulate me?" And he goes like this. He goes, "But I'm cold." And he goes, "I know you're cold. You know how I know you're cold? No.
Because
we're connected."
It was the best. I loved it. Oh,
that was like the one where he's like, Dad's leave. It's okay. There's no need to be a pussy about it.
Hey, Dad's like, don't be a pussy about it.
And the kid's like, what?
What I loved was
when he's
in the lab.
Everybody went, oh.
When he's in the lab and he's kicking everyone's butts and points the gun at that one guy, drops it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I like working at this place. Everyone is weird.
I love it. He points his repulsor at him and the gun, and the guy like drops his gun. He's like, you know what? I don't even like working here. They're weird.
And just takes off. And he's like, oh, okay, that's alright.
He wasn't going to disagree.
The movie's been out for 5 weeks now, so I guess it's okay to talk about the plot twist and stuff.
Yeah. If you haven't seen the movie, shut us off. Go watch it.
And then
because you're going to hear something you don't want to. In 3, 2, 1, the Mandarin.
Yeah, the Mandarin.
That threw me for a loop a little bit. I was not expecting
At first I didn't like it, but then I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
I was okay with the plot twist. And Iron Man 3 goes the furthest from the comics. It deviates the most from the comics.
Yeah. Such a good story.
But it's probably the best of the films.
Really good.
And I've heard a lot of people like just nerd rage on the film because of what they did with the Mandarin.
Oh, so many.
They weren't even happy that like with Ben Kisling's casting because the Mandarin has to be Asian.
Well, that's racist.
Yeah. And the thing is,
I thought Ben Kingsley, all the scenes they show him being the Mandarin, I'm like, ooh.
I think that's racist because
he's hilarious.
I liked it. And
that's racist because as a culture we can accept Panda Express as being Chinese, and yet the Mandarin has to be Chinese.
That is so whitewashed, though.
Yeah. Well, but that's the thing is you got to respect Ben Kingsley for what he can do as an actor, and that's what really blew me away.
We call it Panda Express Chinese food, and they have samurai pandas. Come on.
Like they don't even know what kind of food they're selling, but
they're racially confused.
But I just really admired his performance, like over everything, because when he switches from being this terrifying figure through, a better part of the movie, and then all of a sudden you see him and he's like coming out of the bathroom and like nobody should go in there for like an hour. It's like that really threw me off quite a bit.
Here's the thing that I loved about it, and when I was younger, I checked all the blogs. I wanted to know everything that was going on. I remember when Iron Man 1 came out, and there was a leaked photo of the Iron Man suit. Someone snapped a cell phone picture. And it actually, the photo made it into Iron Man 3. And one of the newspaper clippings is
That's right,
it was this weird, blurry photo of Iron Man. It's like, I knew it from the leaked photo from Iron Man 1.
The first photo from Iron Man 1 I saw was somebody took it on their camera phone, but it was like through a fence and trees.
Yeah, it was like a fence.
And he's like this or something I can't remember the pose. It was like his hands up, and you just see leaves all around the picture. It's like you snuck in there, you little devil.
Yeah, and I was so.
But it looks awesome.
Yeah. So, but I mean, over the last couple of years, it's like I've gone from especially when they were doing Dark Knight Rises, I didn't want to know anything. I wanted to be surprised, and there was still you'd glance at a photo on the internet, damn it, the Batwing's in this film, or
not the bat.
Yeah, it's just stuff you don't want to know. And Iron Man 3 not only managed to surprise me, but they threw scenes in the trailer to throw you off. There was a scene in one trailer where I swear to God the Mandarin punched Iron Man.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was just boom, and they did these scenes.
Well, if you think about it, the Mandarin did punch Iron Man.
Well, but I mean, in the armor, there was a scene, with the rings and stuff, and they were able to
What if those really were the rings of power, and they're just like they found them and be like, "Oh, they'll look good on your character."
Yeah. Well, that's the one thing that I thought was.
He gets out of prison with the rings. He's like, I am the Mandarin now.
Well, it's like the Mandarin. A lot of people say he's Iron Man's Joker. He's the most iconic Iron Man villain. Yeah. However, like in the comics, there was like 20 years where he hadn't even appeared.
Yeah, there was
just dropped off the face. of the earth.
Dropped off the earth. Yeah. He's not like the most. Like the problem with Iron Man,
he's Two-Face. Really.
Yeah, is all of his villains are like Hammer or like they're guys in suits. Really.
Yeah.
Because they're guys that want his tech. They're most of them are industrial rivals. Yeah. So that's what makes sense. Because
so Mandarin is notorious for a completely different reason.
Yeah, he's notorious because his powers are also magical based.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the 10 Mach 1 rings.
Yeah, they're magic
powers.
And so it's like he's the one guy that Iron Man can't just like defuse.
Yeah. And
so it's the whole mysticism versus Iron Man's tech. And so I was preparing for that, the whole magic thing. And the Marvel movies universe has been so widely diversified with Thor and even the Cosmic Cube in Captain America.
That was so cool.
That it's like, okay, we can do magic-based weapons. That it's not going to come off as corny.
Yeah. I think that's what everyone was expecting with the Mandarin.
Yeah. The Loki Pokey stick.
I did like.
Never did like that dance myself.
I like that he was having issues with what had happened in New York.
Well, because he was technically the only normal person there.
Yeah. Well, he was the only one.
Well, yes, there was Hawkeye and Black Widow. They were highly trained in combat hardened.
Yeah, they've been involved in things like that before. He's a billionaire playboy philanthropist. I can tell.
I remember that line. I'm always like, something about billionaire playboy. I can't remember the line.
Playboy.
He's a billionaire
suit of armor. What are you?
Billionaire
playboy.
I can't say philanthropist in that sentence.
Say refrigerator.
Don't think about it.
Refrigerator. But I like that he was having a little bit of PTSD throughout all
yes.
this. Yeah. You know, because I mean, there's never really been a situation that he's been at that he can't kind of throw money at.
Right.
You know, in a lot of ways.
Which made that one scene with him and the little boy really...
Oh, yeah.
That scene on the phone. I was just like, oh my gosh.
Like, you said you're a mechanic, right?
So build something.
It was really emotional.
Yeah,
and that's something that you don't see from Tony Stark.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was really great, was because you get a lot of emotion from him that you don't see in the other movies. Right. Because otherwise he's just cool, calm, and collected. He's a badass kind of guy and just, you know,
that's
does
a really good mask.
And then, you know, and that's not who he is on the inside. So when he had his first confrontation with Pepper, it's like, where is this coming from? You know, all of a sudden he's so emotional, and all he wants to do is try to protect her. And then once it gets out of his control, he goes a little crazy.
With the scale of what happened in New York in the Avengers, I think it made him realize how mortal he was, and how close he can come to losing the things he wants to keep. And so that's one reason why he says that line. But also, if you look back at the first two films, he slowly integrates himself because he says, "I am Iron Man" at the end of the first one, and then all through the second one, it's him as Iron Man, and he's trying to be... It's almost like he's Iron Man trying to be Tony Stark.
Yeah, well, they did a little bit of Armor Wars they pulled for Armor Wars for 2 and 3, but 2 got the closest to Hero in a Bottle.
Yeah.
With,
that was the closest they came to talking about Tony Stark's alcoholism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, my favorite...
Weinstein, play a fat, beat my friend's ass, too.
You know, and that's... Iron Man, like, when I was reading Iron Man, that's the kind of Iron Man stuff that I was picking up. Like, I have in my collection the first appearance of War Machine in the comics. And it's completely different than what they did in the films.
Because Norman Osborn is the Iron Patriot.
Well, yeah, he's the Iron Patriot. Well, yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, but like, still, that's wrong.
With War Machine, they literally, Iron Man was too drunk to operate the suit.
Yeah.
And Rhodey had to hop into the suit and play Iron Man with he couldn't figure out how to fly. He's literally running to the battle.
Oh, gosh.
You know, like, it's just...
And then the second one, he beats his ass and he's like, bye, I'm flying.
Yeah. So, like,
by the way, when you weren't around, I learned how to fly this whole time. I knew it all. That's why I kicked
totally
your
broke
ass.
into your garage and familiarized
and
Jarvis likes me better.
Yeah, the whole time is like he's trying to save the world while Tony Stark's literally puking in the bathroom. Like that's what.
This is the greatest battle ever. I'm gonna get so late. Tony Stark's in the bathroom. Whoa! Oh, nothing's worse than this. And it cuts back to Iron Man. He's gonna rip my arm off.
Yeah, and that's the one thing. Like Rhodey, he never liked being War Machine because he was claustrophobic.
Even though War Machine rocks.
That's War Machine. Not a lot of people remember that Rhodey had
War Machine rocks 45, whatever it was.
65, I think it was. And all the people, they all start laughing, and then he just points the gun at them. And they're like, sorry.
I know this is a little off topic, but still in the Iron Man vein. You know his machine dummy or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
I want to...
His little bots.
Yeah, his bot. I want to...
If you hit me with the fire extinguisher again when I'm not on fire, I'm donating you to a city.
I want a shirt that says I'm with Dummy.
Oh.
And I have a picture of the machine.
Oh
my gosh.
Well, if you notice at the end of the third one,
he carts them off.
when he goes back to the wreckage of his Malibu house, he's got the two guys. Well, those that's where he got his start. He created those when he was a kid.
Yeah.
He was a little kid and he made them. So they're like quintessentially those are part of Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, he has the miniature arc reactor taken out of his chest now.
Which again was in the part of the original Iron Man run.
Yes. So he's got that out now. So I didn't think they would put it in this movie. I thought they would probably do it in the next Avengers. Mm-hmm. But the Woody, did you ever notice the necklace he gave Pepper? It was actually the shrapnel from his heart.
Yeah.
I was like, it's so corny and beautiful.
So beautiful, Pepper.
Well, it's like that's
it's
one
so
thing.
Sweet and so strange at the same time.
That's the one thing they didn't
It's
get
like,
into.
by the way, they're still sharp.
Yeah.
Be careful.
That's the one thing they didn't touch on in the films, and there probably just wasn't room, or it'd be a whole subplot. But he cheated on Pepper a couple of times in the comics.
Yeah, he did.
He's not like.
To tell you the truth, I'm surprised he didn't go out and find somebody the moment he thought she was dead. Like he gets out, sees her fall in the fire. He's like, can we pause the fight? I need to go have some grief. Nikki, I'll be back. And we can pick this up right where we get off. And he's almost out of the complex. And here's Pepper go, I'm alive!
Surprise! Come back.
Oh, thank goodness.
It just Iron Man before the films, Iron Man was a B, C character in the Marvel roster.
Yeah, he was never.
He wasn't. He was relegated to Nick Fury in a lot of places.
He never had a big sale. He didn't really do big sales. He hit the chopping block a lot. Yeah. He actually got canceled once or twice. The first time he got canceled was back whenever his suit actually had the nose.
Oh yeah.
I think that was the first time he got dropped.
Somebody was trying to play with the design. I like the nose aspect because it made sense for me.
Yeah. Well, now in the modern days, now with the movies and the way they have the mask design now for the movies, that's my Iron Man. I was like, okay, that's the suit that looks cool.
Right. That mask has a bend in it,
yeah,
which doesn't read too well in a two-dimensional piece.
Yeah. So yeah, because in a comic book, it's like that is straight flat. His nose is against him.
Yeah.
But
so he's talking like this the whole time.
Well, also
right now.
Also in the comics,
let's fight.
Yeah. Also in the comics, for years, no one knew Iron Man was Tony Stark.
And then at the end of the first one, it's like, I am Iron Man. I was like, wait, he doesn't do that for a long time.
Yeah, for a long time, Iron Man would be around, but he was this robot, supposedly built by Stark, who was Stark's cyberotic bodyguard.
It was
in
his
fact,
bodyguard for a long
they
time.
pay homage to that in the first.
Yeah, he's like, you want us to believe that was a bodyguard in a suit, and then he gets quiet for a second. And he's like, "Truth is, I am Iron Man."
Yeah, that was the Shield cover story they gave him at the end of the first one.
Yeah,
really, bodyguard.
You know how? Real quick, going back to the necklace.
Well, if you think about it, Jon Favreau was his driver and bodyguard, so it's like he doesn't fit in that suit.
Going back to the whole necklace thing, thinking about it. You know how when they took the shrapnel out, it went think and magnetized to that thing?
Yeah.
Does she have to be careful anytime she goes through, the airport security
metal detector.
or something?
She gets choked and she's against the metal detector.
I'm just saying,
turn it off!
Very romantic idea, but at the same time, it's like,
very
that could kill you.
Yeah. Well, I get it. Your main thing is I'm going to protect Pepper, and then you give her something that could potentially kill her if she's around anything magnetic.
She cuts her finger. You didn't These are still sharp. Jarvis, I knew we forgot one thing.
But,
I'll get right on that stuff.
All right, going back to Guardians of the Galaxy, what Marvel films or even DC films are you guys looking forward to?
I am looking forward to Man of Steel.
Man of Steel.
Everybody I know, I talk to, they actually don't like Superman. They say he's a broken character, because he's unkillable and everything. But I really enjoy Superman. He's one of my favorite DC heroes. He's great because honestly, part of it is because he stands for truth, justice, and the American way.
When Grant Morrison writes Superman, I've been brought to tears several times reading.
I've been brought to tears. We're reading a couple of his stories. The one that really made me cry was which one was it? It was the Doomsday one, the Death of Superman.
Oh yeah.
I don't think Grant Morrison wrote that.
No, that was before.
Yeah, that was before him. But I read that story and I cried. Big time.
We went and we got the special thing. I wore my band to school. I was in junior high. It was
had the S on it.
Yeah, it was a black band with the S on it. Yeah, I wore it to school the next day.
Special edition
I did.
The special one came with that band, didn't
Yeah, because there was two. When you bought Death of Superman, it came in 2 bags: a white bag or a black bag. I have like 2 or 3 white bag copies in my office, but the black bag came with a T-shirt.
That's what I got. Yep.
And an R.I.P. band
and the armband. Wow. Yep.
I would have wore the armband. I would have been.
I did. I wore the armband.
I would have at first I'd hide the S at first, and I'd be like, "Dude, what happened? What's wrong?" As I'm crying, and they're like, "You okay? Is it your grandma or something?" Just slide it over.
And like that was epic because they had the Superman symbol with like blood dripping off of it. I remember as a kid thinking, "Is this it? Are they're done with Superman?"
They didn't put out a Superman comic for like 2 months or something.
It was
they didn't, and then they put out the 4 differently. The
4 different titles because they had like 5 Superman titles going on at the time. They all 5 stopped publishing, and then when they brought them back 4 months later, it was a different character for the 4 titles.
Yeah.
Superboy, Regenerator, Steel, and then
there was a Superman,
the Cyborg.
There was a Superman comic I got. I can't remember which one it was, but all I remember is that it was at the beginning of it. It's everybody's morning Superman. He has his big statue in the middle of Metropolis, and then it shows him being carried on like this throne by like these guys in robes, and I'm like, is he dead? And then you see like war and all kinds of stuff, like images of like afterlife and stuff, and then you see a busted open vial, and you see the '90s Superboy with the leather jacket. You see him walking away from this busted open vial chamber, and at the end the tomb is busted open and he's gone. And I was like, what just happened?
I loved the '90s Superboy. I really did.
He was neat. He was really neat. I think I like him because he had a leather jacket.
The new Superboy.
Leather jacket means he's cool.
I'm reading the new 52 right now. I have the first Teen Titans trade, so I'm going back. And the new Superboy is okay. He's kind of edgy, but like
the Superboy they had before, he went insane, and that really pissed me off.
The '90s Superboy was like pure '90s attitude. He had like the one earring. He had the leather jacket.
Yeah, I want to know how he got the frickin' earring.
The ear pierce. How you pierce the ear of Superboy.
Poisonous kryptonite needle, maybe?
I used to read Superboy. Yeah, I used to read Superboy. It was one of my first ones. And I have like a comic with him like flexing, and he's got like 3 women on each bicep.
Nice.
It was just like he had this pure
but they're
like
crying,
ego.
like, we want to go home.
That's very Gaston.
I know.
Were they all blondes with boost ears? He's got the little guy standing behind him.
You go, Superman!
Go, Superboy! Oh, by the way, that French girl you liked with the giant hairy beast, yeah, you don't want to do something about that.
By the way, it's like Tony Stark. You go,
I was gonna say the last Superman that Grant Morrison wrote was
Which one was that?
It was number 18, and it had a scene at the very end. It broke me to tears because it jumped because it was Grant Morrison leaving the book. It was his last Superman for a while. So it jumped the last 4 or 5 pages, jumps to the far-flung future, and it's like the Legion Super. The
Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah, it's not them, but it's
an homage.
Yeah, it's their future. And anytime they go into the museum, like there's this whole wing of the museum.
There's a wing of a museum that's dedicated to nothing but Superman.
Yeah, Superman.
It's always been like that in the future they've depicted.
Yeah, with the Legion and Booster Gold. And there's a scene. Yeah, there's a scene like a school's going on a field trip through this museum, and this kid. Yeah, this kid is just being a bully to this little kid.
Yeah.
And this other kid just walks into the Superman wing for half a second and just goes, "This is bullshit," and punches the bully.
Good.
And it was just like, it brought me to tears because it's like, that's what Superman does. He inspires.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Kid walks in, he's like, wait a minute.
You know, like
I
that's...
gotta take this.
Like the Superman
on.
statue looked down at him, he's like, punch him in the face. You know, they're just like, you know what to do.
Handle your business, son.
No, it does.
He's a
like,
black Superman.
Steel was.
Steel was.
I liked
That's
Steel.
true.
I liked Steel.
Steel was cool, and then they made the Shaquille O'Neal movie, and I was like, no.
They kind of killed that character for a while. He's back in the 52.
He's back, yeah. Shaquille O'Neal wasn't horrible in that. It's, just
It's
that
taken a
I was
long
like,
time to
oh.
get over that whole thing.
The
That was around my
90s
dog.
comics superheroes, yeah. They just... It was weird. Like, how can you tell a Supergirl movie and a Steel movie without paying homage or
nothing
referencing
mentioning Superman.
Superman. Like,
Yeah.
Superman is what spawned these characters.
Yeah.
Yep.
So to do a Steel movie without even mentioning Superman
Yeah, you know the thing, though?
is weird.
Is, the line I remember the most from that movie is the girl who's in the wheelchair, that's his friend that made the suit and everything. She's sitting there talking to the old black guy that they're friends with, and he's like, something happens, and he goes, well, dip me in shit, and cover me in breadcrumbs, and call me a cracker. I was like, what? That happened! We all let that happen!
Who's responsible for this writing now?
Oh, yeah.
We are all responsible
That
for
makes no
this.
That makes me want to slap everybody involved with that movie ever.
It's just,
Right down to the guy who brings the coffee.
No, how could you let this happen?
Falls over, and he's like, no, all the spit coffee! And he looks over at the director, I mean all the coffee!
That's right, it's spit coffee because it's all crap. And not
And he
the
walks
crap you're
off.
talking about.
And he just leaves.
But
gosh.
the film I'm looking forward to the most that they're working on right now is Ant-Man.
They
Are
are
they
doing
working
that.
on it?
They are.
Will it be in junction with a Wasp?
I haven't seen anything with Wasp.
Because the last I heard anything about the Ant-Man and the whole Wasp thing, this was whenever they've just got confirmed that Iron Man was being made, is that Ant-Man and Wasp would actually have their own movies, which made no sense to me.
Yeah, well...
But then they came back and they could be in the same movie, but now I don't know.
Well, I don't remember who's directing it, but he's more of a comedy director. And they showed some test footage. No. They showed some test footage at Comic-Con last year. And I've seen the test footage, and it made me want to see like an Ant-Man film.
Does he have the Pym particles?
Well, yeah, they're doing the Pym particles, but they're going closer off of the second Ant-Man.
Oh, Ant-Giant Man?
The second guy to be Ant-Man. It's not Hank Pym.
It's not Pym.
Which is fine.
Oh, what's that guy's name?
I can't remember the character's name either, but the whole idea of like a thief, getting over his head, like that story's pretty good.
Yeah.
And there's a scene in the test footage that they showed at Comic-Con with Ant-Man, like literally he jumps and then shrinks down in midair and lands on the barrel of a gun, runs down the gun, punches a dude in the face.
Because he still has the strength of him.
Yeah, and like the guy goes flying. And then there's one thing I've never seen in any Ant-Man or Atom comic ever.
He goes in the guy's mouth and grows.
No.
God.
But he grabs like this guy's tie and he jumps over him and then grows and uses the tie as a fulcrum to throw this guy through a window.
Nice!
That's pretty cool.
And it was just like, oh my god, like this is action,
Right as the guy gets ready to fly in the air, he's like, this is gonna hurt. Not good. Tiny guy throwing me over his shoulder.
Wow! Crash! Dang.
So it's like the Atom is
flat.
I've never liked the Atom, or I love the Atom. I've never liked Ant-Man. And all of a sudden I'm looking forward to his movie. Okay, they could actually make this character
I think
tough.
it'll be neat.
That's going to be really interesting to see how they pull it off, though, whether they're going to use it with the filming with CGI and how it's going to transfer.
Ant-Man's an Avenger.
Well, that's what I had heard, that he'll be in the second Avengers movie, but he won't get his own film.
Yeah, I guess they might introduce him in Avengers 2.
Mm-hmm. And then
because Ant-Man's slated for after Avengers 2.
Well, they've
does
already
anybody
confirmed...
know what the plot for Avengers 2 is going to be?
Doesn't matter, it's going to be awesome.
We know there's going to be the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
And we do know that it's going to end with a climactic battle.
Yeah.
Well,
and what's interesting is I don't know if Bryan Singer and 20th Century Fox are being dicks or what's going on, but Joss Whedon makes his big announcement. We're going to have Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch in Avengers, and then all of a sudden Bryan Singer announces who's going to be playing Quicksilver in Sony's X-Men film,
which is Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past, which is weird because those characters aren't even in that series. And
my question is, how they're saying it's going to work with the original 3 X-Men movies. So my question is, how are you going to get Kitty Pryde to go from the past to the future when she's already in the future?
I don't know.
Because in the original comic series, the reason why they get to the future and they know what's going on in the future is because they send Kitty Pryde from the 70s to modern day. And because she was one of the original X-Men. Well, then, in this continuity, she's already in modern day. She's not part of the first class.
No, she's not.
So, we're going to send you to the past, find out some shit, and come back.
I don't think they'll use Kitty Pryde.
I don't think so. Something will happen with Hank.
Well, yeah, because in the current run, Beast is the one who did it, and everyone's like, "You're a dick."
Plus, I just want to see Kelsey Grammer as a big blue hairy guy.
I liked Kelsey Grammer.
He said Stars and Garters right. That's all I cared about. Was he's like, "Oh my Stars and Garters," and in the movie I went, "He's good."
But
didn't care. He was good.
Bryan Singer's announced who's playing Quicksilver, and I don't remember, some French actor.
Ah, damn it.
But it's fine by me. But the thing is,
what about Scarlet Witch?
They haven't said anything about Scarlet Witch. Okay. The weird thing is
she Scottish?
We might have a completely different actor play the same character in Avengers.
I hope not.
Because the two franchises can't cross over because of the different studios won't play nice together. Mm-hmm. Mostly Marvel Studios wants their characters back.
But what's really messed up is that they won't cross those over whenever the Avengers and the X-Men have met a lot. Especially considering now Wolverine is on both teams.
Yeah, well, Wolverine's been on both teams several times. But
exactly.
The thing is...
Well, they exist within the same universe, right?
Yeah, they exist in the same universe.
Everything in DC exists in the same
universe. Or
Marvel.
DC has two...
Yeah, the band.
Yeah, DC has 3 different universes running right now.
DC's running 3 universes.
That's what always confuses me about DC, is they've got...
DC has 3 universes.
Well, with the 52, it's pretty much...
a lot more.
They did.
Before they did the New 52, they had a lot of universes.
Yeah, they had 52 different alternate universes before 52.
That's too many.
There was one world, I can't remember what Earth it was, but it was a steampunk world.
Nice!
I loved it because they had a steampunk version of Batman.
Orion still died.
Yeah, I know, shut up. But they had this steampunk version of Batman. They did a couple stories called Gotham by Gaslight.
Ooh.
And instead of Robin being his sidekick, like you would automatically assume, in the steampunk universe, Blue Beetle was his sidekick.
Oh my goodness!
It was Ted Kord.
It was a Ted Kord Blue Beetle?
It was a Ted Kord Blue Beetle, and it was really cool. Like I loved that. Like it made sense. Like okay, why would we have Robin when we can have Blue Beetle?
A cheery, blue-eyed boy. He's like, gee, Batman, let's go get criminals. When the Blue Beetle's is like, let's kill him.
So, Bonnie, steampunk finally got your attention? She's been like so quiet over there. All of a sudden,
I do.
She didn't say much, and then also she's like, "What?"
Steampunk.
So, I love
it's funky steam. It's awesome.
With the new 52, they've really consolidated their universe. Right now, you have the 52, you have Earth 2, which is one comic.
Yeah.
And then you have
the Earth 1 line.
Earth 1 line, which they do a graphic novel like once every...
The Batman months. Earth 1 line, I still want to read that.
Yeah, don't leave here without letting me give that to you.
Yeah, I still need it. I heard the Superman Earth 1 is really good. Yeah. I can't wait for the Wonder Woman to come out.
That's what
we talked a little bit about.
Yeah, Grant Morrison. I love Grant Morrison.
Oh, he's great. He's a crazy scunt.
Yeah. So, what movie are you looking forward to?
I said Avengers 2.
Avengers 2.
That's a cop.
I mean, no. Well, okay. First of all, I am. not online looking up all these things. You guys, I hear all my information from you guys, okay? I get my intel from you guys, so I don't really know what's coming out until you're like, hey, did you know this is coming out?
This is the reason why she's only a guest on the podcast.
Oh! And lately, all I've been researching is steampunk. So but anyway,
why?
I'll tell you later.
So anyway, like steampunk. Come on.
No, I love steampunk.
Anyway, so
sorry to interrupt this wonderful podcast, but we have to sell you at least a couple things. Isn't that right, Brandon?
That's right. At DestinyComics.com, we have several books for you to choose from, ranging from a psychopathic teddy bear all the way to our famed 8-bit pulp series.
Really? You guys put that out? I had no idea. I love that book. I'm going to go buy 12 copies.
That's right. And your mother should buy 12 copies too.
But yeah, I have to say the first Avengers movie was one of my favorite movies of the last 5 years. It was absolutely fantastic. I loved it. It was
I love watching Thor
honestly,
try
I
to catch
think
his
it was
hammer in
probably
midair.
the best possible incarnation of that movie that it could have been.
It was absolutely fantastic.
I found no flaws with it.
You know, Fox was like, we took away Joss Whedon's TV show. Why?
Like, why did we do this now?
They're gonna want him. They want him back so bad now.
Yeah. Well, I mean.
Well, now that he's so great.
But now, he's tied into the Shield TV show too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks good. I saw the.
I want to know how they bring back Coulson. That's the one thing I'm really interested in.
You don't want to know. You don't want to know.
Because Fury's a big fat liar.
No, they've leaked it online. You don't want to know.
I'm not gonna. No, I mean, I want to know when I watch the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to know ahead of
I don't
time.
want to go online and be like, well, those dicks.
Well, the thing is, there was a rumor floating around that I was really interested in, that they were going to use Coulson's brainwaves to do the Vision, and Coulson would have become the Vision in Avengers 2.
That would have been an awesome idea.
And I was like, oh yeah, because Vision's my favorite Avenger.
Vision's
second
neat.
favorite.
He's not my favorite, but he's neat.
Yeah, my favorite are Hawkeye with the kilt. I'm sorry, I don't care.
Oh
you
yeah,
need, you need the kilt.
I'll have a kilt then.
Yes.
Not traditionally war.
Yeah, he had a war kilt.
Not regimental.
Yeah, no.
Not for those leaps and jumps.
That would have been an awkward scene watching him jump off the building.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Dingleberries!
10-story building. Now you don't see his face. You're like, oh my god!
No!
You see those Chitauri ships, you start like, whoops!
You know he's coming, down from a building when people yell, full moon!
So, like, I loved Hawkeye because of the attitude and the kilt.
Hawkeye was cool.
And then
I always liked
Vision was the coolest because, like, I first learned of the Avengers at the Avengers arcade game.
With Vision.
Yeah, Vision was the coolest because he was the one who could fly.
Yeah.
Iron Man was playable in the game, but he couldn't fly. Vision was the only one who could fly, so I dug that.
Yeah, Vision, I think he's alright. I like him, but that would have been a neat idea of doing that with Coulson. My thing is, I think, like, of course, everybody jumps to that one thought of how's Coulson alive? It's like, Nick Fury's a liar.
Yeah.
He lies.
He's a big fat liar.
Lies about everything.
Rule number 1: Nick Fury lies.
Yeah.
He stole the thing I was gonna say.
And the doctor shows up and he's like, stop lying, that's my job. He's Samuel L. Jackson again. Mace Windu.
So Danielle, what film are you looking forward to?
I'm in the same boat as Bonnie and being very excited about the next Avengers movie, even though I know next to nothing about it. I'm also excited that there's going to be another Thor movie, even though I haven't looked into what it's
I want to know
be.
how many suits Iron Man's going to have when they do Iron 2, when they do Avengers 2, because he did the clean slate thing and it destroyed all his suits.
Yeah.
Well, they're saying he might not even appear as Iron Man. He just might have a cameo as Tony Stark.
That will make me honestly very upset.
That would really really hurt my love of the
He's still, but he is saying I'm Iron Man. He has to be Iron Man.
Well, here's the thing: his Robert Downey Jr.'s contract ended with Marvel Studios,
and he won't sign a new one until everybody else that was in the first movie gets a contract raise.
Yeah,
which I think is really wonderful.
Awesome.
That was cool.
I have a lot of respect for him.
He's like, you paid me how much, and then you paid them how much?
I don't think so.
No, pay them more.
Yeah, like he got $50 million for Iron Man 2, Avengers, and Iron Man 3. That was he had
everybody else got a fraction of that.
Yeah, he got a 3-movie contract.
Everybody else got a fraction, and he goes, no, they should be getting as much as me.
Well, that's the thing is, I think it's probably a valid argument to say that Iron Man is probably the most popular of all the Avengers.
Well,
just for obvious reasons, because Tony Stark is an interesting character. You think of Captain America, he's old-fashioned. Yeah. Well, their
personalities are one and the same now.
Well, that's the thing is, you think about when you think about the past that Robert Downey Jr. had with his problems with drug and alcohol and being in prison and things like that.
I remember a joke he said the other day.
it makes sense for him to play that kind of role. He understands that
Addiction.
mentality of an addict.
That's why he's such a good Sherlock Holmes as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I was like,
I
when
love
they said he was
that
Sherlock
too. That was
Holmes-
Yeah.
fantastic.
When they said he was Sherlock
absolutely.
Holmes, I was like, they got the addiction right finally.
Did they get into the more? It's been a while since I've seen the films. Did they get into the more?
They only mention him.
Not
They only mention
quite.
him using coca leaves, which is
Right.
Still.
so. They only mention
Well,
that.
he was injecting something in the first movie. You realize that
Yeah.
that's meant for eye surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't actually say what it was. Just,
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, that's
You
another
know what you're
They
drinking is
mentioned
meant
that
for eye
he's-
surgery.
Yeah.
They mentioned that he is an addict because Sherlock Holmes did enjoy drinking a little.
Well, he was
wasn't-
more, he
well-
was a morphine.
No, he was a morphine
yeah.
addict. I know that, but he did drink too.
If you watch the Epic Rap Battles of History season 2, they did a Batman
Versus Sherlock Holmes.
versus Sherlock Holmes.
That was a
I
good
don't
Batman,
remember that one.
Batman has a line. It's like,
Is
you're
it?
going to die alone with a needle in your arm.
Yep.
You know?
I don't remember that. I think I,
remember
missed
that.
it.
Well,
I've
'cause
read
I've read-
all of them, but I didn't remember
Sherlock.
that one.
I read the Sherlock Holmes novels, so
no.
yeah.
Well, like,
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes is one of the inspirations for the pulp. Like,
Yeah.
when we
I
think,
love Sherlock
yeah, when we think of pulp stories, we don't necessarily go to Sherlock Holmes. We go to
He's
Conan
in
and
it.
some of the other stuff. But he was serialized, just like the pulps.
Yep.
You know,
But he's one of my favorite literary characters, and Robert Downey Jr. did a great job as him,
He did fantastic.
and he does a great job as Tony Stark. And pretty much, and Joss Whedon actually, when he thought of Tony Stark's personality, he thought of Robert Downey Jr.'s personality, and that's why they blended so well. They'll stop recording.
yeah. Well, it's like
I just thought it was funny that you jumped at it at the same time.
But
Thank you for joining me on that. That was awesome.
Robert Downey Jr. actually said something the other day. He goes, I can't do cocaine or drink alcohol anymore because I became allergic. I'm allergic to it now. So he says, what? And he goes, yeah, every time I do it, I break out in a case of handcuffs.
well, at least he has a
That's
sense of
funny.
humor.
He does.
about
Yeah.
it. Maylene, what film are you looking forward to?
Well, actually...
Wait, I know what it is.
No, not Avengers.
Nope, it's Thor 2.
No.
Oh my gosh!
I'm actually, like, the more I hear about it, Ant-Man.
Ant-Man?
I'm going to say it.
I'm sticking with Man of Steel, though.
Well,
Well, I'm
I
kind of
have
looking
mixed
forward...
feelings about Man of Steel. Still.
I
I'm
I don't
just-
like the
he's-
color palette. That's what
Yeah, it's
I'm
really
not crazy,
dark.
but I'm
I
not-
understand that they're trying to make it really dark and gritty.
They're trying to make it live in
That's
the
not
same
really
world.
something that Superman has been before.
Well, they're trying to make
and
him in the same
Batman
world as
has been
Batman.
that way, for
Well, that's
At
one reason
least-
why they did it.
at least Christian Bale incarnation.
Well, I've said it.
But-
The reason why they're doing it that way is
Well, I
because
know.
they're putting it in that universe.
It's because that's what's popular right now. Is something that's more dark and more gritty, and everything is getting that way.
Well, more
But
realistic, really.
but still, you think of Superman, and I think of like the bright outfit.
Yeah.
You know?
you
With
know.
the red boots and the cape and all of that stuff, and
You do, do you?
and he's so
No, 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 no.
you know
Batman.
it's it's in the same universe.
Same
but
world.
It's like, I mean, his
Hello.
his stuff his stuff makes it
Yes.
no the costume, the uniform, whatever you want to call it, makes it look like it's made out of like basketball jersey material,
That's what
and that's kind of what bugs me. I'm like, why is it perforated?
Well, they're trying to do this thing where it's like they did the same thing with Superman Returns. They toughened up the suit,
Yeah.
and it's like,
They made the S stick up off the chest.
yeah, it's like
Which
I'm,
was weird.
yeah, I'm sorry.
I wanted to see him bend
Superman's-
over and see that S go.
Superman's
Like,
costume, Superman's costume in Action Comics #1 was based off of the body lifters, like the circus
A
lifters
unitard.
Yeah.
of the day. That's not common practice nowadays, but still, so you can pay homage to it. I mean, it's-
Don't change the whole thing.
Like when he's got do a mirror montage, like he does the unitard with the painted on S, and he's like 230s.
Well, it's like, I love Superman. It's one of my favorite characters.
Do you like Toy Story 3? Ken's model.
Oh,
or as me and Kevin Smith like to call it, Schindler's Toy Box.
I had a reason why Ant-Man was
Oh.
but you guys kept talking.
Oh,
over
we're
me.
sorry.
Every time I
So
want to say
sorry.
something, you guys are like, screw you, I'm talking! Screw you, Elaine! So I
What's
had a
your
reason.
reason?
I don't remember anymore.
There was a reason.
Her fiance, almost husband, was looking forward to it.
No.
I'm just teasing you.
Forget Brandon!
Oh!
Oh, what? No, whoa!
Hey, what's the on your face?
Hey, yo, Copernicus, navigate you and your shirt back to the back of the line.
All right, I want to talk about Justice League Dark for a moment.
Oh, yeah, I was following that for a while.
Well, not just the comic, because that's the next big DC film that they're doing.
Guillermo del Toro's signing on to do it.
Yeah, Justice League Dark.
That's going to be interesting.
Hey, here's the thing,
John
though.
Constantine, Deadman, Zatanna, and Swamp Thing, they're saying is going to be with him.
Well, they've added characters
since then.
In the Justice League... Well, there's characters that are in the comics that they're replacing for the movie. So, like, they're doing...
I remember. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll say it after you tell me.
We interrupted you.
Yeah, go back to him.
Well, because Brandon was telling me, I had never read any Ant-Man comics, and he was telling me about how there are two different kinds of personalities, depending on which comic you read, and one of them was that he would be his wife. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've never, like, since I don't read that many comics, really, I don't really know.
I'm Ant-Man.
You know, like, I've never heard of many superheroes doing that. Like, I've heard of all the other things they've done. And when he told me that, at first I was like, what? What? Let's beat this guy's butt! You know, like,
why couldn't he just do heroin like Steve?
Yeah, why couldn't he just be an alcoholic? Come on!
Well, because they're supposed to be, you know, like, protectors of the weak.
Yeah,
you don't see them as someone who's going to be, like, really abusive to someone that they're supposed to care about, right?
Yeah, they're supposed to be abusive to themselves.
Yeah. He's a superhero hitting his wife.
So when I saw that, I'm like, oh my god, that's so sad.
That makes that image of him, you know, like, flipping that guy over with his tie so much worse now.
Yeah.
Because the inner monologue, the inner monologue bubble, as the guy's flipping over him, it's like, after this, I'm beating my wife.
That's messed up.
So it's like...
So yeah, I never really got that line.
I had no idea.
The reason why I want to see that a little bit more than Superman is because I'm still trying to get into comics.
She wants to see if they're going to have him beat his wife.
No, I just don't want to be like, oh, what's your favorite superhero? Besides Batman and Superman, because for a long time those are the only ones I knew. You know, it's like, I never read comics, so I'm like...
The Blue Devil!
I never even read anything. I just barely heard about the Blue Devil a little while ago.
I mean, I like Batman too, but I'm saying I want more than just...
Well, it's like that
for a long time, I used to say Green Arrow.
Yeah, I love Green Arrow. But that storyline with him being abusive, it lasted a long time in the comics because his wife's a superhero too. So like,
so she can take it, right?
Well, but no, the bruises and marks and stuff. Like, oh, I was
Thanos. Like she goes to punch Thanos, he stops her like mid punch, like whoa, whoa, whoa. Where'd you get that black guy?
You know, like it was,
I didn't give it to you, so where'd you get it?
Yeah, so
you came in here to kick my butt with it. Who hit you? It's like grabbing her by the hand like a teacher. We gotta report this.
So it was like, you know, and when Captain America, I think, was the one who found out, he literally put Ant-Man through a wall, and he said, "If you ever touch your wife again, I'll break both your legs."
I ain't gonna lie, that'd be kind of that'd be one of my.
I want to see Chris Evans do that.
Cool. I want to see Chris Evans, like you said,
because so far,
just through
at
the wall.
least for me, movie Captain America has not been great.
Yeah, he's not edgy. He's not edgy.
He's just a little bit of a wimp. And I get it, it's because he starts out as a skinny guy who just really wants to join the military.
Which is really
and
close
then
to
realizes that he's way in over his head. But even so, like, even in the Avengers, I find it hard to like him.
Well, in the Avengers, it's him still dealing with that time shock.
But I have a really hard time liking him.
Well, there was a deleted scene in Avengers that I think would have swayed
what was
you.
That?
But you watched without me, by the way.
There's like a 5-minute scene with Captain America, and it's literally him going to this like coffee shop, and it's funny because he's walking past like a cell phone dealer, and the guy's like, "Buy time, and Captain America's like, "Whatever." And you know, and he goes to this coffee shop to sit there and drink coffee, and he kind of flirts with this cafe, you know, barista, yeah. And she goes, "You can stay here as long as you want. We got free Wi-Fi." And he looks at her kind of odd for a second, like, "Radio?" Like, I mean, he's just like so out of his element.
He's out of the
time. The whole movie, because at the end of the movie, you see him get some time shock, you know, whenever he comes out of the coma. Yeah. And that's what Avengers 2 is playing up, is that he is still dealing with living in a modern world. When he was in the 40s, like, he lived only, like, the last world he saw before he went into a coma was a world at war.
Yeah.
And so seeing...
And I know that when he comes out really well, like, especially when he's talking about the cube, and
no, I know.
Who was it? He was like, You know, I mean, and that is horrible. I understand that he's going through like a horrible pain, and you know, like literally the culture shock. You know, but I feel like I would like him a lot more if he got a little bit more screen time and was a little more fleshed out, especially in the Avengers.
Yeah,
because
they kind of took
really
him back.
The only thing that I remember from Captain America in the Avengers was the gymnastics that he did on the wing of the plane.
Yeah,
you know, that's about it.
Oh, I liked the line where he was like, "Oh, I got that." It was what they quoted.
I got that one. Like he was so excited about it.
He understood.
You know,
I know that was awesome.
He's like, I got that.
I got that one.
Does anybody know? Okay,
we all know that man over there is playing Gallica. We thought we didn't know what we saw.
He turned. That must be exhausting.
I recently learned a fun fact actually about Robert Downey Jr. when they were on set of The Avengers. When he's randomly, well, yeah, it wasn't ad-lib, but like that scene when he's talking to Banner in the office and he's eating blueberries, he was randomly planting food around the sets that he could randomly eat and sneak it in. And I thought that was the funniest thing.
That was his own food, and he gives him a treat,
like he got it right. And I was so impressed with what's his face?
Josh Whedon?
With the guy who played Banner.
Mark Ruffalo.
And I love him. I think
he was a good Hulk.
Fantastic. Oh yeah,
I like him as Bruce Banner.
I think he's the best incarnation of Bruce Banner.
I thought Edward Norton was really good, but he came on. He came off as whiny to me.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is Mark Ruffalo. He's got the look where he's got something under the surface that he can't, quite get a grasp on, and he gets so genuinely upset that he becomes this green rage monster.
Really a fan of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm officially a big fan of how you turn into a giant green rage monster.
Yeah, I love that one.
But I was going to say, going back to Avengers Dark, they're swapping out Justice League Dark. They're swapping out a couple of characters for the Demon.
Oh.
And Swamp Thing. And instead of...
They better have Deadman.
Yeah, Deadman's in there. But instead of Zatura being the one who brings them all together,
what?
It's Constantine who brings them together.
That makes no... Oh, John! Keanu Reeves!
Constantine
He dyes his hair blonde for the movie.
Well...
Whoa! We gotta defeat monsters. You're made of bugs.
They are bringing back Constantine back to the comics, though.
You've got too much emotion for Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Well, they're bringing...
Have you read Keanu Reeves' backstory, though? His life sucked before he became an actor.
But,
wait, yes, I have. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I just heard about that recently.
His life...
He's such a big freaking philanthropist. He doesn't keep hardly any of his own money. He just
he lives in a 2-bedroom apartment.
If you go ask him for money, he will give you money if it's a worthy enough cause.
Really?
You meet Keanu Reeves on the street when he's just sitting up at the bus stop, staring at his sandwich and thinking, "This sucks."
Of
course, I'm thinking sad Keanu. This sandwich really sucks. But.
Okay.
This looks like a good sandwich.
What kind of sandwich is it?
I don't. It's just some kind of white bread sandwich. It's he's sitting like this, and he's got his knees kind of apart, and he's got the sandwich in his hand. He's just looking really, really sad. It's all over the internet, and it was all over the internet.
He's like, I don't need this sandwich.
Why do I have this sandwich? People are suffering, and it's like, ah. But he's on movie sets and stuff, just giving money away. So people who are working in the crew or extras, they tell him his story, and he's just like, "Here, take my money, take all of it, as much as you need."
He doesn't live in any big place.
Keanu Reeves is listening. I really need rent money.
And he covers just enough for his living expenses, and everything else he just gives it away.
Well, hopefully he's still getting royalties from Matrix and stuff. That
wouldn't surprise me if he still was.
Over 90% of his profit from the second Matrix movie, he gave to charity.
Oh, cool.
He's just one of those
90% of what
really
90% of what he made.
Good guys, and it's incredible. It makes me sad that he's not a better actor.
Right before he got to Bill and Ted, he did Bill and Ted. His fiance died.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
she died, and then his sister died.
Tragic.
Yeah, and then it was cancer, wasn't it? And then his sister died.
His sister died in a car accident?
In a car accident. And then his dad, his whole life was in and out of rehab for alcohol.
So just struggling to make it by, and then just oh my gosh.
So one
of those things that hits you.
One quote that they've actually posted that he said he was like, you gotta have happy insurance. He goes, maybe you do, but I don't. I just live.
Gosh, that's bleak.
Man. I was like, you could be Spike Spiegel now.
I liked his take on. I liked the film that they did of Constantine.
It was interesting.
It was the closest we were going to get to the comics.
Yeah.
I still wish, like, Daniel Craig would have been a better Constantine, because Constantine in the comics, blonde, British. You know?
It's James Bond fighting demons.
Yeah.
See him several years later in Skyfall. I'm now James Bond. Whatever.
Yeah, but, like, I mean...
Whatever.
You know, it's got that
He's a
British
cowboy.
attitude, you know, from Alan Moore.
Yeah.
Which Constantine... This is what throws me for the loop, and they probably won't even do it in the film. But Constantine first appeared as a Swamp Thing villain.
Mm-hmm.
And
Trying to kill Swamp Thing.
like Swamp Thing, if you're unfamiliar, is this chemical creation. You know, there was a movie years ago.
Then you find out it's not him; it's worms.
Yeah,
he's worms.
Wait, who has worms?
No, he
Swamp Thing has
is
worms.
worms.
he is worms. Yeah,
And
Wait,
he
so he's
drugs
like
his
Oogie
girlfriend
Boogie,
with
but without the
tubers.
sack.
He is the
is. But Swamp
and he
Thing,
drugs his girlfriend with tubers.
he does.
Wait, I've heard
Nothing
this.
like
Where
a-
did I hear this?
There's nothing like a sad.
Well, that's one of the things. Like,
Like a tuber, like
Sack
the
of
root,
worms.
a tuber root.
Yeah.
He gives
like
it to,
Katniss.
like it grows out of his body and gives it to his girlfriend.
She
Abby.
eats it, and she goes on this psychedelic trip where they actually meld minds, and he turns into his old self in her mind,
and they're able to.
and that's how they get freaky.
fornicate.
Takes it.
That's just wrong. Okay, that's
Okay,
weird.
that's going into territory I don't want to think about
They're
right now.
literally
way-
part of each other.
The way it happens, I love how you take all that and you say fornicate. Like, you make it sound classier. Like,
It's like all this horrible, gross stuff, and he's like, and then they fornicate.
Well, that's Swamp Thing.
Well,
really
high school
is.
science.
He's made out of worms and feeds her things that come off of their body, and then boop-a-doop.
Ow, chicka, wow,
The
wow.
fact that you
Yeah.
say it that
Gross.
way.
That's what it is.
Boop-a-doop.
But in the Constantine's first
didn't realize
appearance,
we had Betty Booster.
Don't worry, Peter. That's why they call it a spoople.
I was just thinking that.
but Constantine's first appearance, he comes after Swamp Thing with holy water and silver bullets.
Because he thinks he's a
He
demon.
thinks he's a demon, and
None of it
Swamp
works.
Thing's just like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Should
Like,
come after him with pesticides.
yeah,
I see now John Constantine's like
Or
jumping
salt.
around him.
He's a
I
worm,
know.
right?
Like the little
Oh, but that's
dog in the old
slugs, right?
cartoons.
Yeah, but it would affect worms too.
Swamp Thing's just staying there, and then you just see like John Constantine
Just
jumping
go
around
on
him, like the
every
little
one.
dog jumping around the big dog in the old Looney Tunes cartoon. Like, but he's throwing holy water and shooting him, and he's like, be gone, bang, bang, be gone, bang, bang. And
Don't look at the
Swamp Thing's just like
Mickey Mouse
grabs him
cartoon.
by the head, and he's just like, stop.
It literally sounds like a Mickey Mouse cartoon.
Yeah.
Now I got the same as
Danielle,
Mickey
you
Mouse.
just, need
so
some, you just need to pour some rain on him and then let the sun come out.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
That's
Well,
what
Make sure he's on the sidewalk.
Yeah,
come out.
just make sure he's like in the middle of the road. He can't move that
Just
fast.
find the giant bird. We'll be
well,
good.
it's more like the
Oh my
genetics
gosh,
of
that
a
makes
worm.
me-
He's actually made of like trees and stuff.
Like it's the
You just said
I
he was
forget
made
who
out
it
of
was.
worms.
no, what happened? It's the worm DNA. It's
The worm
weird.
DNA actually changes, and
So
it
he's
uses.
worm DNA, but he's actually a tree.
Yes.
Check this out.
He's just weird.
I forget who explained it, but
Okay.
this is
Alan
actually
Moore.
it was Alan Moore.
Alan Moore anatomy lesson.
He explained it like
And we
'cause
know
this
he
is
makes
technically
buildings in.
supposed to be possible. It's because there is a real worm out there that when it eats something, it gains the DNA and genetic code of that, and it can actually shift into almost that. So whenever the guy gets blown up and sent into the swamp, his body got eaten by these worms, and these worms are like, oh well, this is the lungs, and it makes these things, but it pretty much makes it out of the plant matter that they have ingested, and so he pretty much becomes a plant rendition of himself.
Like, there's a great line from Alan Moore. It
This
says,
is weird. It's just
there's a great
Like,
line.
I
It's
get it.
I
Like,
bel-
it's Alan makes
on when
sense,
he
but-
made this character.
It's
Yeah.
Al. Well, he didn't make the character. That's the
Whoever
thing.
made the
He
character or tried
explained
to
it.
explain
Well, when the character was
character.
originally created, it was him with.
It was a mutation.
It was a
of man.
mutation. It was his body with mutation because there was a chemical involved also in the explosion, and it was his body with the plant foliage and everything mutated from him as the chemical and the swamp water mixed.
Yeah.
It
Then
seems
later
like-
on, she's like, no, you're the swamp.
Sounds like somebody learned about these worms and was just like, sure, we can make something out of that, I think.
Alan Moore jumped up and
with
down.
it.
Hey, we can do it. We can do it.
Alan Moore is so weird.
Doing the Mickey Mouse voice though.
We can do it, we can do it.
We can do it. We can do it.
There you go.
Um,
Oh
I actually
my
used to, when I first got into comics, I was a big Alan Moore fan, but
He's just so crazy.
As of the last couple of years, like I can't stand him. I really can't.
I was a big Alan Moore fan, but he's just so
wait
insane.
a second. Alan Moore did what else?
He did From Hell, V for Vendetta, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
That's where I know him from. I read V for Vendetta and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
And his big one, honestly, is...
I really hated the movie, though.
Yeah.
I like the book and like the book. She hated like me.
Because the book is, a solid graphic novel, and there's so many more dimensions to it, though, because you don't hear about Sutler being in love with Madame Liberty or anything else, and the fact that he is so
also in the book, they
weird.
explain how V sees without eyes.
Yeah.
In the book, they explain that. In the movie, they don't. They're just like, there's no eyes, but he sees us.
Yeah. I actually just watched that last night, and I thought about that, and I was like...
There were no eyes.
But I know he was looking at me because I felt it, and I'm like... And I
You probably think dead people are looking at you, too.
And I see dead people. And I didn't like how in the movie they didn't explain how the explosion happened. Because he had been messing with fertilizer in his room. And it's just like, boom, it happened. Okay.
V is a terrorist.
Straight up, he's the 100% anti-hero.
Alan Moore wrote him as a terrorist.
But his line...
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
Line has become, like, the outcry of this nation, which is weird, is like, government... people shouldn't be afraid of the government. Government should be afraid of their people. Yeah. And it's, like, become the biggest outcry in the last few years. Is like, truth, justice... A guy in a mask. No, it's like barely even a Merry-Way where it's just like, that guy in the mask said something awesome. Now if you look at every protest you see on TV now, there's one guy wearing that mask.
I know. Yeah, and
there's always been somebody wearing a mask.
And it's like, you're a douchebag. Like, mainly
do you even understand the symbolism behind this mask? And
every time I see that mask, I'm like, we don't have a parliament. What are you going to blow up?
And here's the funny thing about that mask that Alan Moore pointed out in an interview I watched. He's like, the mask represents, like, anarchists and stuff like that. He goes, but 20th Century is a $1 million corporation who's making money from selling the masks. It's like...
Well, that's the thing, is the year that the movie came out, how many Vs did you see at Halloween?
Seriously.
I mean, ridiculous. Oh my God. My brother went as V that year.
I got a V mask, but I didn't use it as a V mask.
And just thought it looked cool. And I was like, how many other people have seen the movie and can't appreciate... I went to go to see the movie with my dad. Because I had bought the soundtrack, and I had bought the book, even though I sat in Barnes & Noble and read it. I still listen to that soundtrack. I love that.
It's a good soundtrack.
But the entire time during the
1812
movie...
Overture.
The entire time during the movie, I'm like, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. Where's this? Where's this? It's not a Violet Carson. Or it's not a Scarlet Carson. It's a Violet Carson. What are they doing? They're messing everything up. And I realized I tried to find purple roses, but, and yeah. My dad was like, why are you complaining? And I'm like, because I just read this and it's wrong.
I want his mask from. I want the mask from the movie because it was like a ceramic porcelain mask.
Yeah, it's not like those cheapy plastic.
Yeah, I want that one, but at the same time, I get worried that like if I get punched in the face, I'm gonna be like going home. Mom, I need you to
you'll have to
pluck these pieces out of my face.
Well, it's pretty much time to wrap this up.
Well, I had a thought. I said, I think, and then everyone
sorry.
And so there's just this random I think floating around there. And people are like, what does she think?
She is! She is! She thinks, therefore she is.
There you go.
So, explain your think.
I think that, going back to your brother wearing the mask, if you've never seen the movie, don't wear the costume.
Yeah.
Or
if you have any movie or any costume.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, any movie. Yeah. Or if you haven't read the book, don't go as a character.
Well, how many people do you see at Comic-Con who are all dressed up, like as anime characters? I don't even know who they are.
Well, if you're dressing up like an anime character, chances are you know who that character is.
There's been people that are like,
because
I have just last year I had a friend who went, and people were, my friend Natalie. I don't remember who it was who she pointed out, but there were like several people. And she was like, "Oh my God, do you love that manga too?" And they're like, "I just found this costume online. I really like it."
Oh, they bought the costume. Like the hardcore cosplayers who build their own.
You can tell who makes.
I know
people
out in Highland that they make their costumes.
Yeah. That's what I would do if I were to go to Comic-Con.
Around Anime Expo time, I get so many Facebook updates where they're like, just got done dyeing the wig, now time to style it.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Alright, well it is about time.
Yeah, let's end this with what we're all reading, like we did last time.
Alright. We'll start with Bonnie. If you're not reading comics, you can say books.
Yeah. If you're,
Actually, I'm decided to read some Jane Austen. I just finished Pride and Prejudice and started Sense and Sensibility.
Nice.
I'm gonna give you a proper
Some
English clap.
sensibility's good.
There we go.
No, golf clap.
Golf clap.
Well, because I've seen all the movies, but I hadn't read
I like
very much
Sense
of
and
her.
Sensibility,
So
though.
I have them in my Kindle. I decided to read.
Did she write the Importance of Being Earnest?
No.
Who wrote that?
All the women are like, no.
I don't remember who it is. It's the
No.
guy.
Yeah.
But
I just remember.
because I like all her stuff, but I just that one just popped in my head, and I can't. I've
No,
read it
it
and I've
wasn't
watched the
her.
movie.
Wasn't it? It's generally in the
Colin
same
Firth.
time period.
Wasn't it a
Man,
play originally?
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
originally a play.
Because I read
It's a
it,
funny
I
play.
I read it,
It's
and I
not
saw the
Shaw,
movie with
but,
Colin Firth, and I just thought it was
I
wonderful.
saw the movie, but I didn't see the play. So it was
I
I saw
didn't
the
know
play
it
at
was play.
Chaparral years and years ago.
All right, so Brandon, what are you reading?
I'm actually reading a book this time.
Dun, dun, dun!
I started reading the Divine Comedy, Dante's Inferno.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah,
more sinister. Dun dun dun.
I'm reading that. I've decided that once I finish Dante, I'm going to go back and actually read the Bible cover to cover.
Oh, cool.
It's something I've never done, and so I figure if I can get through Dante, I can. I'm feeling I can get through.
You're all ready
There you
to
go.
buy it now.
This is like his training.
Yeah, as a comic,
Because he's reading
yeah.
Dante. It's the eye of the tiger. He's just sitting there reading it.
I have the tiger playing in the background.
Dean Winchester's jumping around, scratching his arm, singing it.
You'll just see me come in, break the stereo. You've been listening to that for 4 days. Shut it off.
But the book's not done.
I don't care.
But as far as comics go, I have a huge back pile of books I'm trying to get through right now. I'm reading the first Teen Titans trade, and then I'm reading Jonah Hex because I'm trying to figure out what's going on with Booster Gold.
Yeah, Mr. Gold ended up in the Old West.
No,
Kind of want to read that now, too.
that's it.
Bless you.
Thank you. Sorry.
I'm actually reading in the novel department. I'm reading the omnibus for books 4, 5, and 6 of The Black Company by Glenn Cook. You can blame your boyfriend for me liking those.
No, well, I'm sorry.
Actually, when we were little kids, he's like, "Dude, read these books." And at first, I was like, "No." And then I started reading them. I was like, "Holy crap, these are awesome!" And then I told him I got the omnibus. He goes, "You suck." And then comics, I actually haven't picked up anything new for this month, but I'm actually reading all the issues of The Question that I got on Comic by the Pound Day.
Oh yeah, back issue questions.
Yeah, so I got a lot of
Steve Ditko.
those were they're the late '80s, early '90s issues.
Yeah, angry Steve Ditko.
Oh, you can tell how angry he was in these issues. He has a really the first guy you meet in issue 1 that is The Question's villain is a really, really creepy priest. I can't remember the guy's name, but I'm just like, you touch boys. It was horrible. It was he gives that vibe in that book. He gives that vibe, so I'm just like, I really want him to punch you in the face, really hard.
Well, Steve Ditko, some of those here don't know, he co-created Spider-Man with Stan Lee. He's the guy who actually drew Spider-Man.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
And he
Spider-Man.
got really angry with Stan Lee to the point
I
where
think this is the first time Spider-Man's
he
been
walked
mentioned.
out of his
I
contract.
Really?
Like literally,
Pretty
he walked out on Marvel. He walked out on his contract with them.
That's right, I've heard that.
He literally walked in, dropped off his boards because back then the artists would come in once a week, once a month, drop off their boards to be scanned, or and then they go. And then he walked out, never talked to him again, never talked to Stan Lee, never. After 50 years, they managed, because it literally was Spider-Man's 50th anniversary, they managed to get him to draw one cover of Spider-Man.
Wow.
And it was a limited print, and each Steve Ditko cover sold for $500.
Yeah, no joke. How do people not like? How come people get mad at Stanley? He's such a lovable guy.
He is, but he's also a bad businessman, and a lot of artists felt they got screwed over by him.
Well, plus, the Stan Lee company he started, that went under in a year.
Well, that was... I don't know how Stanley avoided litigation with that, but that's a whole other story.
Well,
it's Stanley. He walked in the courthouse and he's like, "Come on, true believers."
Come on.
He's like, "Come on, true believers. I'm Stanley." And the judge is like, "Dismissed."
Well, what are you reading?
Okay. So right now I'm actually reading one of the books that I let you borrow that you have not returned, and I'm assuming you haven't read.
Actually, I'm halfway through and I had to put it down.
Okay, so since it's on my Kindle, I'm reading The Child Thief by Brom.
I had to put that down.
Is it
you're the only one who's ever heard of it. It's a very, very dark kind of retelling of Peter Pan.
Is it a newer story? Because you
No.
said Bram. I'm thinking Bram Stoker. Or?
No, Bram. That's
Bram.
all he
Just
goes by.
Bram.
I don't know who this guy is.
Like Madonna?
Kind of. Like Cher.
Saves a kid from getting his tongue branded. Oh, I can't get past that.
I'm not at that part yet, and it's been so long since I've read it. Shut up.
Tongue branding!
Ah!
As long as there are no bullet holes.
There's plenty
And rape.
of bullet holes. Shut up, Mike.
You let her talk.
No,
about
with
your
the bullet
chance.
hole!
Oh, let me talk about my book.
Go ahead.
Um,
I'm sorry.
I forgot what I was trying to say by it. It's
Bram.
just, this guy's written a bunch of different stuff, and what's really cool about this one is he's, in, like, every other chapter there's, an illustration that correlates with the chapter, and they're all really detailed and really kind of dark, and, like, they're gorgeous. I love them. I'm really glad that they actually translate to my Kindle, because it's the very first one.
Yeah.
And a lot of those don't translate very well, but it's a long book, and I'm about maybe a quarter of the way through it.
Mm-hmm.
So...
I'm gonna go with the flow here and say I'm also reading a novel. I'm reading a book called The Spanish Bride. That's actually really good. And giving me a look, Mike. Yeah.
Well, I want to know what it's about.
Tell me more. That's tell me more face.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
You're gonna get that song stuck in my head, and I'm gonna hate you for it.
No, my what the hell is that face is that same face, but with my eyebrow cocked.
Well, it's a book about Catherine, who marries, Henry VIII's wife.
Oh,
his wife.
Catherine of Aragon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's about it's a historical fiction, so it's not and it's all about. It goes back and forth between the time she first gets to England and she was betrothed to his brother, all the way to the time when the divorce and Henry's trying to get a divorce from her to be with the Anne Boleyn. And so it goes back and forth between the two times, and the time that after her first husband's death to kind of the courtship between her and Henry kind of thing, and it's actually a really good book, and it talks a lot about one of her handmaids.
Who's it by?
I don't have it around here, but I'll let you know.
Yeah,
because I was like, I can't remember.
That's like one of my favorite topics.
I've read some of the books from I'll Let You Know.
Yeah. Great author, right?
So she's like, I'll let you know, and I'm like, I've
Actually,
read a couple of those books.
If you give me a few minutes or after the podcast, I'll show it to you.
Yeah, please.
But it's a really good book, and I think I guess the same author, the guy who wrote it, also wrote another book about Anne Boleyn. And it's another historical fiction kind of thing, where I haven't read it yet, and I haven't been able to find it in bookstores yet. But it's a really good book and fairly easy to get through.
If you like Tudor Court, you should definitely read Philippa Gregory.
Really?
Mm-hmm. All of her stuff about Tudor Court is fantastic. And she writes a lot of it.
Yeah.
So, alrighty then.
Alrighty.
Is that goodbye? So
Yeah,
long,
right.
farewell.
Goodbye.
You heard it on the table.
You've been listening to At the Table.
No, you've heard it from the table. Have a good night.
Listen to a Destiny Comics podcast. Recorded in Hemet, California. Show produced by Michael Sanders. A special thanks to any and all